Hi, and welcome to this conversation with Caroline. I've been doing a lot of thought to this subject since it came up. The subject came up recently in a session I was doing with a woman who is a therapist, and she works very closely with men and women who have had sexual abuse or violation in their background, either in childhood or puberty or anytime. Anytime you've had sexual violation, you don't forget it, and it usually affects someone long into many years later, because the sexual soul within us. So I'm going much deeper. I'm going many layers deeper than just our sexuality as men and women, but our sexual soul is a very feeling place. And that part of us is very sensitive. It's very sensitive to the jokes that have been made by stand-up comics on television shows, in nightclubs, certainly in clubs like in Las Vegas and downtown clubs, where the stand-up comic just goes after funny things to make people laugh. And often it's around or about mothers-in-law, because there's always these jokes about my wife's mother, my mother-in-law. And there's also a lot of room for joking around sexual issues and about women's emotions, and how hard it is for some men to understand why we're so emotional and what we're so emotional about. So back to the conversation that I was having with my client and friend, who had had sexual trauma in her early teenage years, and was still working that out in her personal life, as well as working with that subject matter with clients day in and day out. And it's a pretty heavy topic, having lived through my own recall or recovery of early sexual violation in my own youth, in my own childhood. And I didn't know that I had violation sexually. I didn't ever call it that. If anyone did call it that maybe I should look at that, I went, no, I had a perfectly normal childhood. Because I did see therapists over the years a number of times, being in relationships or marriages and then out of them, often drove me to my next therapist. What did I do wrong? What is wrong with me? What was wrong with them? What went wrong with the relationship? And what don't I know how to do to make it right? So I have really looked at this in myself. And it wasn't until I was in my mid to late 40s, and I was in a new relationship that was featuring sexual healing. And I was drawn to the subject of sexual healing by my yoga teacher, who was a man that I cared for very deeply, having gone very deep in his yoga classes over 7 or 8 years, and never thought of him as a lover, never felt attracted to him in that way. But suddenly one day in our 7th or 8th year of knowing one another and becoming friends over the years as a yoga student in the yoga teacher's class, the question was posed to me, was I aware of any early childhood violation or abuse? And no, I had a perfectly normal Midwestern suburban childhood. Well, in one of these rounds of therapy in those years, I wound up in the office of a hypnotherapist who I liked, knew her from our Tantra courses, and she was very interested in conscious loving. And she was by profession a hypnotherapist. So I started seeing her. And because in my relationship at that time with my husband, he was aware, and then I became aware that there were certain things that would happen or be said in the bedroom, in bed in the bedroom, that turned me off, that I didn't like. And they turned him on. And he did like to say certain things or refer to my body in a certain way. And I took it pretty negatively, and I would shut down. And if you know what it's like when a person shuts down, we're talking about the chakra system. We're talking about shutting down sexually, shutting down in your belly where you start to get tight and closed, shutting down your heart. Wow, you can really tell when you're with someone that you're intimate with and their heart is closing down and they're not loving you and open to you and adoring you. You shut down in your throat chakra because the words just won't come out and you can't get them out. You don't know what to say. You start choking up. You might start crying. And sometimes you get pictures going through up here through this movie screen that you've got here in the third eye area, right in the center between the brows. It's like a motion picture screen sometimes. And I know how many times I, as a woman, during sex with a partner, would find these various pictures coming through that either opened me up further or shut me down. And when I say shut me down, it also could be that my vagina would get very dry and tight. But it's an important thing to know about and to see in yourself. Because the subject here is, what are the words or phrases? What is the languaging that either opens you up as a woman in sexual communion with another, with a lover? Or what is the language and what are the words that have caused you to back up, close down, not want to go deeper, not enjoying the exchange of energy and the physical, the penetration perhaps, or the oral pleasuring? Women have a lot of time in their brains when you're being pleasured orally, and you're lying there with your legs wide open, and your mind is constantly telling you, I should be wet now, I should be in orgasm by now, I bet he's getting bored. Okay, why don't I just end this now and do something for him? Or if you're a gay couple, do something for her. This isn't just about heterosexual couples. But when you're receiving pleasure, that's a time when you have to either close your mind out of the viewfinder, or what's going on in your mind, the words, the thoughts, the fears, are going to chatter away. Chit chat, chit chat, chit chat, chit. I bet he's getting bored. I bet I'm taking too long. I probably don't smell very good. Oh, I should have washed. Did I make the kids lunch? Oh, yeah, it feels great, honey. Thanks. Yeah. I'm close. Oh, and you start making sounds and breathing, and then he gets the message that maybe you're liking it more, and the confusion goes on and on and on before anybody speaks up and tells the truth. Okay, it took me 9 or 10 minutes to get to this point, but this is a really big point, because receiving pleasure is an art form, just as giving pleasure is an art form. And if you have static, or if you have a shattered pane of glass covering your erotic innocence, your young, pure, innocent excitement about pleasure, about intimacy, about exploring the partner's genitals and body, or about opening up to your body being explored by your partner. These are all huge, giant steps that we take in our life without much thought very often. But the thoughts that come in are very random, and we don't stop and look at them, and we don't put them aside where they belong. And they sometimes short-circuit the whole experience. So what this conversation with my friend led to was the difference between, say, tantric sex or loving, empowering, positive thought forms and words being spoken about the sex that you're having or anticipating having, versus the kind of talk that is very popular in porn films, and I think I've heard it referred to as tits and ass talk. Now, I came through my 20s and 30s with men referring to women almost always. Look at that tits and ass. Look at all that. And I would say, well, I'm just seeing her. You're just seeing her tits and ass? Interesting. So this is a conversation that's been going on in my life forever. And I want you to really dig into what are those conversations. What are the words, sentences, paragraphs? What is the music? What is the energy that opens you up and invites another in to your heart, to your yoni, to your mind, behind your eyes? What is the setting? What is the set and setting that opens you up for pleasure? And what is the set and setting that you've experienced with another, that you've heard from another, or that another has said to you, I want to talk more like that. I want to hear you talk like that. I want you to say sexy, nasty, dirty things to me because it really excites me and gets me up and off and hard. And maybe there's a part of you as a female that goes, whoa, okay, or, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Or you do it anyway, and you find some parts of yourself closing up and shutting down and being not really authentic, but pretending and faking to be excited about what you're saying. This, my friends, is a huge subject. And I would guess accurately that there are therapists and professional healers and all over the world, in every city, in many towns all over the world, working with people, coming to them with these issues, with these problems. I don't know what to do about it. I want to be happy in my marriage. I knew when I married him that he was the one for me. And all of the things that then unfold as the couple, and it could be a same-sex couple as well as a heterosexual couple. It's all inclusive because love and attraction is what's motivating you, right? So you get together with someone either for a marriage or for one night or 1 week, and all of these things take place in the bedroom if you're having sex with each other, some form of sex. And there are so many variables about what you like and what you don't like that you never say anything about, or that the other doesn't say anything about. And you come away from your first week away together, or your honeymoon, and the relationship continues because you're looking for one. This seems like a good idea. He or she feels good, especially in certain moments. But there's also an undercurrent of confusion. There's an undercurrent of, I could tell she didn't really like it when I said something about her body, or I said something about her yoni, or the taste of her, or the scent of her, that I could tell she didn't like. And by the same token, the women come away sometimes knowing that, or feeling, because if we feel it, then we know it. Oh, I'm feeling this, so I know it must be so. That he doesn't like my breasts, or he doesn't like the scent of me, or he doesn't, or he does. But you never ask him. You never really have the conversation with each other in agreement that we're not going to be saying anything, you're not going to say anything that's going to hurt me, because I know you wouldn't intentionally hurt me. So I'm going to just put up this sort of protective shield that I'm not going to be hurt by the truth that you tell me. And I want to give you that right now for the next 5 or 10 minutes. And I want you to go ahead and tell me things that I'm thinking, that I've mentioned to you I've been thinking, and I will just listen. And I will not be hurt by the truths that you're going to say. That takes a very evolved human being to be able to do that. And I hope many of you who listen to Conversations with Caroline are eager to further your evolution as a human being, especially, or maybe not especially, as a sexual human being, because you always are going to be one, whether you're feeling your sexuality or not, or expressing it with another or not. You are also always going to have an internal flame of aroused energy that will come as a great surprise at unexpected moments. Just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath, and for a moment imagine your internal flame. Where does it reside? If you're a woman, where does that internal flame reside? And if you're a man, where does that internal flame reside? It might be a hard question to answer, but for many women, the flame is in our heart chakra, our heart center. Often that flame is clitoral. Sometimes it's deep in the cervical area between the vagina and the womb, the deep womb of a woman. And the cervical entrance into that womb is a gateway. It's a gateway to where life has chosen to form, because that's where the egg and the sperm do their thing and life begins to form in the womb. So there's a lot of soul going on and soul retrieval going on deep in the chakra of your sexual soul. And I really want you to go away from this conversation having a conversation with yourself, maybe in front of your mirror, maybe in bed tonight with your partner with the candles going, and just having, hey, I'd love to talk about some stuff with you. And you might start with, I love it when you say certain things or acknowledge my body in a certain way. It really arouses me when you notice. And invite your partner to do the same. And listen to each other for, 5 whole minutes. Maybe that's too long, maybe 1 whole minute. While the other divulges and goes into a full disclosure, trusting that you have invited them and that you're not going to get angry. And you're not going to go, what? I never said that. And did I say that? No, just listen. So this is this is your homework assignment, if you care to have one. That these conversations about what arouses you, what words, what phrases, what concepts, what pictures in your mind bring you into a more open, loving, aroused, receptive space, and which ones shut you down more. And really pay attention, because some of these things come from very early in our childhood, very early, and we have managed to forget them, but they act out in the most intimate parts of our relationships. So that's my call to you today. That's my invitation to come into this conversation about how you like to be spoken to, what is your love language, and where does your internal flame of passion and love reside. Thanks for listening. This has been a really good conversation. I hope for you too.